On this week's episode of the Three Rural White Guys podcast, the guys attend CrookedCon in D.C. Moderate Senate Democrats make sure kids get fed as they shut down the shutdown. And evidently hell has frozen over as Iowa Congresswoman Marionette Meeks finally holds a town hall in the most remote county in her district at 2 p.m. on a Monday.
They're high up on that horse, we're down here fighting wars. They give to the rich, take from the poor, makes you wonder what we're working for. They've got us all turned around. I realize the real divide ain't left and right, it's up and down.
Welcome to the Three Rural White Guys podcast. I'm Mike Heaton here along with Jacob Dodds and Kellen Gracie. Hey guys.
Hello. Hello.
Did you miss us, Jacob?
You know what? Until you sent that text the night before you left, I completely forgot you guys were.
Didn't even know we were gone.
Yeah, we're not recording tonight, Jacob, because we're going to D.C. For those of you following online, Kellen and I took a road trip. We didn't want to take the planes
Sure did.
with TSA.
28 hours in a car, me and you, Mike.
Woo! We made it. We made it.
We did. We're back. We're alive. No limbs lost.
That's right. That's
no
right.
Blood, no blood spilled.
It's actually an incredibly productive trip. I feel like we're not going to go into detail here, but I feel like we leveled up a little bit. Is the best way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of great conversations. The guys over at CrookedCon, Crooked Media Productions, they put on a really good show, a good event. Got to interact with a bunch of other content creators, folks that are just involved in trying to fight fascism through media, which I thought was fantastic. We, for those who've asked online and stuff, know we were not there in time to catch Obama and his secret appearance that he made on the show, the live recording. We didn't get there until the night that like midnight that night. Yeah. But listening to it online was incredible. And the amount of people and incredible people we met that are in this space in their own markets is fantastic. And it was awesome. So sorry you missed it, Jacob. We missed having you there. All right, so we're going to right to our headlines, you guys. It's been a lively weekend. Literally, while we were driving home, we started getting news that there could be a potential end to the shutdown. So I think that's been what's on our feeds, what we're seeing on everybody else's feeds. People have a lot to say about this topic. We'll get into that a lot here shortly. But before we get there, we have some headlines to talk about. On Monday, November 10th, the blank passed a stopgap funding bill to reopen the government. This is for you, Jacob. Sending legislation to the United States House of Representatives for a vote. Who is the blank?
Well, it's got to be. You mentioned the House of Representatives, so it has to be the Senate.
That is correct. The Senate, they finally passed a stopgap funding bill, which basically means they ended the filibuster. After 41 days of the longest federal shutdown in U.S. history, the Senate passed the bill 60-40 to end the shutdown by funding agencies through January 30th, 2026.
What was the last record?
Like 35, wasn't it? Under Trump as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's right in there, early 30s. Don't quote me on that, but it's in there, right? On Monday, Kellen, blank, after telling Iowa Republicans in a private meeting, but it had been recorded and put on to social media, that she would hold a town hall when hell froze over, who put together a town hall meeting finally in the most remote county possible at the worst time for anyone to attend.
Was this the same person who did it with 24-hour notice?
Less than 24-hour notice, yes.
Well, that has to be Marionette Meeks.
That was Marionette Meeks. U.S. Congresswoman Marionette Meeks hosted, and it ended up happening. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, too. It was a very interesting and lively conversation that was had.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah. Awesome. Those are our two headlines for today. I mean, it's really all about the shutdown, guys.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's talking about. There's so many different responses. Even within this room, as the three of us have talked about the shutdown, we all have a different take on it as well as Democrats. So I want to hear our perspectives and see how our listeners feel about it as well. Mm-hmm. So who wants to go first?
Well, I've spent a little time on social media taking in the various viewpoints on that. We've certainly had plenty of that dumpster fire on our own page.
Oh, yes, we have.
But I think that we were probably nearing a tipping point. It had worked in the Democrats' favor up to this point, and I think that the pain threshold for the people bearing this, which are really the American citizens that are reliant on government services as well as government employees.
And there's a lot of them, as we learned.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably everybody knows somebody that's a government employee. But if you're not, put yourself in those shoes. Like if you went 40 days without a paycheck, but you were still having to get up and go to work every day, there's going to come a point where you're going to be like, I don't give a fuck what the outcome of this is. I've got to put food on my table, and I fully appreciate and understand that. And I think that the momentum that the Democrats had going into the elections with it, and really working this against the Republicans, I think that was about to come swinging back to hit them in the face. So I don't really know that they really had any choice but to come to some sort of concession with it. I know that it's not what we really wanted. I know that the healthcare issue is far from being resolved, but I don't think that we would have ever come to an agreement that would have made the most progressive wing of the party happy.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. The path out is what you're describing there, right? Like no clear path out. And I would definitely echo that. My 2 cents, though, is more on the frustration side from my point of view, because I look at what happened and I look at the kind of overall pathway from start to finish here over that 41 days or whatever it was. And it's really hard to point at something that we got. I don't know. I've seen some people with different takes on this that tie it to the last Tuesday elections or heightened awareness of just healthcare policy in general and insurance premiums set to skyrocket and all that sort of came as as a, indirect consequence of the shutdown. And everyone's talking about SNAP benefits, and everyone understands that there's 42 million people on food assistance. Well, I think a lot of people didn't know that. So you can kind of point at those kinds of things, but did we have to shut down the government and cause all this emotional stress and whatnot for people for that to happen? I don't know. Did Democrats need to shut down the government in order to win last Tuesday the way they did? I don't know. But it's hard for me to look out and say we got something good out of this that was worth the cost.
Right.
I would argue if there is one thing, well, not one thing, there's a couple of things that I think are arguably good for Democrats if they can keep the messaging up through the midterms, is that not only was there the loss of SNAP benefits, but there was literally an effort on the Trump administration's part to prevent paying those.
Yeah.
I mean, the courts ordered that he paid it, and he asked for an emergency injunction from the Supreme Court to prevent that.
Right.
So, I mean, that shows just how heartless he is, first off,
Right.
or how heartless his administration is, which I think is a message that if the Dems don't repeat that for the next 2 years,
Right.
they're idiots.
See, I'm looking at this purely political. I wasn't looking at this from the day one as anything that was actually going to benefit anyone, simply because Democrats don't have power.
Right.
And we think we do because of the filibuster, but the filibuster is not power, it's a procedure.
And there's a difference between power and leverage.
Yes. Right? Yeah. So in my mind, we went into this thing as how do we create political leverage? How do we tilt the chessboard, as currently not in our favor at all, back toward us? And I thought from that perspective, brilliantly navigated, also really lucky. Because I think absolutely, I don't know about New Jersey, but the governor race in Virginia was most definitely impacted by this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
People put the blame, and that was the part that I think they took the risk on. People put the blame on the Trump administration and Republicans for the shutdown, which is technically not true. When they said it was a Democratic shutdown, technically they're using the filibuster. It's a choice they made. They're the ones that took the first swing, right? Historically, you usually get negotiations between the two parties to end the shutdown, and Republicans chose not to come to the table.
Right.
And somehow, some way, Democrats got that to be the message and made it more about a Republican shutdown, which is a huge win. But it's really easy to do when Trump is throwing Halloween level Hunger Games type shit.
Yeah, it's
for
bourgeois,
parties.
It's bourgeois French Revolution.
Oh my
kinda
God.
shit.
Yeah. And then he gets quoted as saying, I don't want to be talking about affordability. That's been ended. We figured that out.
Yeah.
Like, are you shitting me? Is he that stupid?
So-
I mean, they stumbled into, they didn't handle this at all well.
And last weekend, Halloween weekend, was that Great Gatsby themed.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
party,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This weekend was the world's most expensive crab claws with filet mignon.
Oh, I haven't heard about
And
this. What is this?
They had another event over the weekend at Mar-a-Lago where they invited a bunch of rich people, and they got like the world's most expensive crab claws. They were auctioning off $64,000 vacations to Thailand. They had synchronized swimmers entertaining people in the pool. It was just everything you would imagine you would be at some like rich assholes waterfront property party. And it's just such a glaring contrast to all the rest of us that are like, my bread is up in price.
Right.
My gas hasn't come down in price. I'm still paying so much for groceries. It's getting worse. I just got a notice in the mail that my health insurance premium is going up by at least 20%, on and on and on. And he's eating fucking expensive crab claws and being entertained by synchronized swimmers on his multi-million-dollar property.
Well, and then you've got the, people aren't getting SNAP benefits.
Yep.
Right.
Government employees aren't getting paid. The military's not getting paid, but we have, immediate demolition work being done, which apparently those fuckers didn't get paid either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they tried to use the excuse of the government shutdown, but I thought the thing wasn't getting paid by the government.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, just like the lavish parties, I mean, I saw an interview that Trump did with Laura Ingraham. I think it was yesterday, or at least it aired yesterday. And what that guy has done to the Oval Office, I mean, all that gold shit, which, I mean, they've basically shown that somebody went out and found the exact pieces of those fancy things that he has everywhere.
Right.
They're literally the plastic molding that you buy at Home Depot, and he spray painted them gold. But of course, he's on there, and she's buying right into it. Oh, this is at Home Depot. Oh, yeah, this is real 24 karat gold.
I wish he would have gone up and scratched it with her finger.
Which we know it's not. I mean, we know it's not. We know that it's just cheap fucking gaudy shit.
Right. Yeah.
But it's the fact that he's flaunting that.
Right.
In America's faces.
The epitome of that, and we haven't covered this yet, even though it's about a week ago now, is outside the Oval Office, not from the inside to the Oval Office where you'd normally see a door label or whatever, a sign on a door. Outside. So you go outside to, presidents in the past, you see them having a smoke outside on the little thing. Outside the Oval Office, they've literally pieces of paper. Mind you, they printed off a color printer.
No, it wasn't. No, so those weren't pieces of paper.
What were they? They looked about 8.5 by 11.
Somebody at the White House has a Cricut.
Okay, it was a Cricut? Okay, that makes sense.
That's how you apply it, because if you see along that same veranda, they've put that Presidential Walk of Fame.
Right,
and they've got the gold leaf lettering up there. Yeah. That's what it is. That's how you apply decals to something. Is it's put on paper and then stuck
on something,
and you peel it off.
Right,
they just hadn't peeled
it off
yet.
But let's mind you, the President of the United States at the White House
said to label the door.
Had to label the door using a Cricut, mind you, not going and actually purchasing actual lettering in the style of some freaking steakhouse, like gold. And why would they have to label the door to the outside?
I have an honest question about this. Who else uses that door?
He does.
That's not part of the tour.
Nope.
Unless he's not there, maybe. That might be the only...
There is only one reason they label that door. Because he doesn't know where he's at anymore.
Right, because it's an oval fucking office.
Yeah.
And I would think that being that is outside and can be seen by the public, that would be a serious security protocol.
Right. Oh, there you go, too.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, people are going to know what door that is, I would think. But here's where I'm at. Anyone, please just go online and listen to a recent Trump speech. Go online and watch him move.
The man is not well.
He is not well. It is bad. It's worse than I thought. And when you have to put signs up outside the doors to show him where to go,
red flags.
We're talking, what is it? The 25, not a 25th Amendment. Yeah, 25th Amendment.
25th
it feels like we're getting damn close to that.
Okay, so 20 years as a paramedic, I've been in a handful of assisted living facilities where there's people with dementia and Alzheimer's disease. This is what they do in those places: is the hallways are labeled like streets.
Yeah,
and they're labeled with things that are obvious. Oh, kitchen.
Right.
If you go into someone's house that has dementia, they do this stuff in their house.
Wow.
Right. And for all those people that are out there, well, Biden was old too. No shit, Sherlock. Yeah. And guess who were one of the first people to yell about it when we saw him bombing that? We took so much heat about saying he needs to go to for that. Yeah. We cannot have people who are not competent running our nation. And he is definitely not competent anymore.
We don't need to talk about this, but how's Chuck Grassley doing lately?
Just Google him. Google him.
Back to the fact, though, that Trump's not running the country. J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller are.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And we saw that clearly. They did not back down. They weren't willing to negotiate during a shutdown. A good bipartisan effort should always be done. It has been done with filibusters in the past. They weren't even willing to come to the table.
That was all Pee Wee German.
Yeah. 100%. So that's where I'm getting with the shutdown is I think we won big time. And I'm not even trying to put spin on it. When I looked at it from the very beginning, I'm just like, we shouldn't do it. What's the point of this? We're not going to get anything out of it. If we do, the only thing we're going to get out of it has to be political, has to be positive. We have to be tearing Trump apart for the upcoming elections. And on every piece of that, we check that list. Did we win by extra in Virginia because a bunch of furloughed workers voted against Trump? Absolutely. And we won by an extra 5-10 points, and we thought we were going to, right? Mm-hmm. Did we get America aware of these massive increases in their premiums that are going to happen after the election next year? They are brutally aware of it, Democrats and Republicans. So Fox News couldn't hide that from it, right? Are they aware of all the shit that happened in the big, beautiful bill that got covered up by Fox News and it got buried in 17 other pieces of shit that people couldn't organize between when it happened? A lot of that came out publicly. Trump took a massive hit, and while he's doing that, he's going and partying in Mar-a-Lago, and he doesn't even know where the hell he's going on the boardwalks. He's talking about how America can afford everything now.
Well,
like, it's just, they bumbled it.
I definitely learned a lot about EMTALA. I didn't know anything about that prior. So
right. Like, America got engaged because of this, all while, SNAP benefits. I think that's why they finally cut it. They stopped because they realized that at some point in time, people are suffering pretty drastically. And I believe that, in my mind, the SNAP benefits didn't go out. 60% went out, and then they were calling them back. And my big thing in the end was Trump. It's not normal. It's not. You should never be. But Trump was calling for the end of the filibuster. Yeah. The end of it, not to overcome this filibuster. The end of the filibuster. That was his end game. And while I know a lot of Democrats are super excited about that because they would love to have a filibuster go away because Republicans have stopped us 1,000 times, at the same time, Stephen Miller with a full congressional session under his belt are still left before the elections without a filibuster. We may never come back from that. Far, far more people are going to be hurt because of that. So in my mind, right at the right time, we step back. We're about to have our bluff called because we really have no power anyway. Republicans can go and change this shit anyway. They can do a reconciliation bill this summer, but we also got them to have to take a vote on this shit in December, right before a bunch of people go home for Christmas, and they're going to vote against it, and they're going to screw themselves over, and it's going to be the death knell of the Republican Party for this upcoming election. I feel like we just took that board and we just tilted it toward ourselves, and then step back. I'm never going to give Schumer praise for shit because I think he needs to go, but I feel like we did it the right way with the power that we had, which is almost none. In the end, we walked away a lot better than I thought we would. Although it brought up something, Jacob, you mentioned earlier before we started recording, that was this juxtaposition as we watched all these senators walk into the Congress this weekend and negotiate on our behalf from these moderate states. You brought up their age. So to me, there's some juxtaposition we have to talk about who is representing our country.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've obviously talked about the cognitive decline we've seen with Trump and those concerns, but I think from what I've seen just in some of the conversation that's occurring amongst the followers on our own page is that, and I've had some of these conversations with people locally because we kind of have a dumpster fire within our local county government right now, that people are just kind of tired of our country being ran by old people. I want to be clear that I'm not saying that from an ageist perspective, but if we really want to start looking at different generational aspects of it, I mean, you look at what's just going on economically in our world right now, and I think one of you may have used this analogy in the past that it's like the boomers have, climbed this ladder and then pulled the ladder up behind them, and that's what they're doing this in Congress.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, some of these people that have been there for a long time have created all of these messes. They don't care because it's not going to impact them.
I think you're absolutely right.
And I think that it's kind of like Trump making the announcement yesterday about 50-year mortgages.
What?
Yeah, he's proposing a new mortgage plan that allows for 50-year loans. Yeah.
So I'll get a $200,000 loan, but pay $1 million over 50 years
in interest. Yeah. Yeah, you have a crap load more interest because you're paying it off longer, and it takes you a lot longer to start accruing equity, right? Because the way those loans are set up is you're paying more on interest earlier, and that slowly goes down over time.
But I mean, we're already seeing this in other segments of the economy, right? I mean, you can finance a car out 7, 8, 9 years now.
Past the life of the car in many cases.
I mean, the car's going to be worthless by the time you get it paid off, and the interest that you're going to pay a loan on it is what it is. And so he was floating that as a potential idea that, well, if you are paying less per month, then that makes it more affordable for young people. No, we need to figure out why the hell it is that the boomers could afford to buy a house on a manufacturing job salary.
Single income,
And
one stay-at-home parent.
yeah. And why two working people that are professionals that are making six-figure incomes
Struggle.
can't afford how to buy a house.
Well, I think we all know the answer intrinsically. We all know it's Wall Street. It's
Right.
profits and profit margins on their companies, return on investment. They're not gunning to support workers. They don't build their companies to do that. They build their companies to profit as high as humanly possible in the shortest amount of time.
Well, and that's the argument that I have with some of the conservative pages that I follow. I occasionally wade into those comments and the conversations with the tariffs right now about bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. I would love to see that. I really would. I'm not.
Right.
I would love to see us have a roaring manufacturing sector again. We just lost another major employer in Southeast Iowa.
Yeah, we did.
If you don't know, Case Construction, C&H Global, they've had a plant in Burlington for 50 years, I think, building backhoes. It was the backhoe capital of the world. There were no more places built backhoes than Burlington, and they announced last week they're closing that plant.
Yeah.
I would love to see that come back, but here's the thing: when that I want people to keep in mind is that when you hear a Republican say that's going to be the end result of these tariffs, is the only way that we have a roaring manufacturing sector again is if we regulate corporate greed and we allow for better collective bargaining through unions.
Right.
And Republicans will never stand for that.
Right. It's a form of regulated capitalism that makes this so it's fair for the workers and for the owners.
There's a reason all those jobs got offshored in the first place.
Right.
Corporate greed.
Yep. And you don't hear us saying it's all Republicans either. I mean, NAFTA was a big piece of Bill Clinton too, and he caused a lot of this shit too. Right. All that said, we as citizens need to
Boomer,
stand up.
an old white guy.
Yeah, 100%. Because that's how they thought the economy works. That's how they lied to. They should know better, frankly, because a lot of them tried to retire and they couldn't, and they didn't get the benefits they should have. But we're getting on to a whole nother topic. We're going to take a quick break here real quick and come back, and Kellen and I are going to share a little bit of our experience at CrookedCon, as well as a lively discussion at Miller Meeks' first town hall in a long time.
Well, hell had to freeze over first.
And it did snow.
It did.
It did snow right before that happened. All right, we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Three Rural White Guys podcast. Kellen Gracie, before we get into our second segment here, do you want to take us through your blue dot quiz?
I sure do.
What do you got?
Who wants to go first?
Jacob does.
All right.
Jacob. The recent funding deal to end the federal shutdown, which we were just talking about, was criticized by many in the Democratic Party for what major reason? A, it cut SNAP and food aid programs. B, it reopened government without guaranteeing extension of health insurance subsidies from the ACA. And C, it raised taxes on rural farmers.
The answer is B.
B, that is correct. Yes, the reason a lot of Democrats are upset is because the ostensible reason why the shutdown happened in the first place was the extension of ACA health insurance subsidies, which we got to vote on, but we did not get guaranteed. Right.
And there's a difference there too. We're going to vote on the extension of, in this case. That was going to happen regardless, because even if it did go through, there'd be another vote sometime
January.
next year. Well, another one even next year as they do their just go through the whole reconciliation process to remove them again if we got them in, because Republicans don't want them in there, right? But what this does is it's harder to take some out than it is to put it in. And now we have to put it in, and that's going to be a lot harder politically.
Michael.
Yes.
In rural ambulance services.
Ooh, I get this one?
Yes.
You totally switched them,
I
didn't
asked you guys, you did this yourself.
You're right. Fair enough. Ambulance services.
Which key revenue source is
Jacob, give me a thumbs up or down. Yeah, go ahead.
Which key revenue source was being threatened by the shutdown? Was it A, private insurance reimbursements, B, local property tax levies, or C, Medicare payments?
I'm saying C, Medicare.
Oh, that was a good guess, Mike.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
80% here in Henry County.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
80% of revenue for ambulance services comes from Medicare payments?
Well, think about it. I mean,
Old people.
that's the majority of calls come from elderly people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jacob.
Yeah.
According to recent reports, how much are health insurance premiums expected to increase in rural America if enhanced subsidies do indeed expire? A, around 10%, B, more than 100%, or C, they are expected to decrease because of greater competition.
Oh yeah, it's C. No, if in fact I think the exact number is like 259%. Is it not?
It depends on where you're at, and the different studies say different things. And the average right now is suggesting that premiums are set to soar over 107%
It's
in rural
not
America.
only B, but yeah, I thought it was astronomically higher than that.
Right. And I think the number you might be thinking about is for specifically 65 and older Iowans, the premiums are expected to increase by more than 3x.
Woo.
That's more than 200%. Yeah.
Great. And that's, by the way, still projected to happen as of right now.
Right now. Yep. Mike, which of
Yes.
the following best describes the sentiment of many U.S. farmers toward current tariff and trade policy? A, they're strongly optimistic that their input costs will fall. B, they're indifferent. They say global markets don't matter. Or C, they're concerned or pessimistic.
I mean, let's be honest. Farmers have been screwed so much by every policy of the last 2 decades. My guess is they're pessimistic.
That's a good guess. That's the right answer.
I figured.
Many right now believe that tariffs will weaken the overall farm economy and raise input costs.
Right.
And they would be correct.
We had a whole discussion about this a couple weeks ago, and for all of our listeners that still want to throw the FAFO out at our farmers, fuck off. I don't know. I get pissed about that. I'm really defensive, right? Just
Yep.
this is an opportunity to get them into the freaking tent.
That's right.
Own it, use it, because we need to get rid of these fucking
Yep.
fascists.
They're hurting too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I had the privilege of visiting the fertilizer plant to our south
Yeah,
here.
down in Weaver.
And I mean, people think, oh, well, that fertilizer is produced here in the U.S., but many of the raw materials are imported.
Really?
So we're paying.
Interesting.
That's why they're input
So the
costs.
tariffs on those too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Jacob, how are rural Americans positioned relative to insurance premium increases compared to urban areas? A, the insurance premium increases are going to be lower than they will be in urban areas. B, they'll be equal to urban areas. Or C, they're going to be higher than urban areas.
Is this for health insurance?
Health insurance premium increases on average across all of rural America.
They're going to be higher because rural America generally tends to be unhealthier.
About 28% higher on average than urban areas in projected premium growth. So they're going to go up in both places. They're going to go up even higher in rural areas. Damn. Yeah, just another way to get screwed, right? Mike,
Yes.
why might rural health services be particularly vulnerable if subsidies do indeed expire and insurance premiums do jump? A,
I have an answer for you. Oh, you want me to, I can give you a
you
lot
go
of
right
reasons.
ahead.
Because all of our hospitals are on the verge of closing anyway, and this is just going to be that final freaking death knell, and then it's going to allow all these major corporate hospitals to come in and take over, in which will receive really shitty services or have to travel, I don't know, 100 miles just to be able to see have a basic doctor visit.
Right. The direct connection is that those high premiums lead to fewer insured
Yep.
patients, more uninsured patients, which just strains already thin rural hospital budgets, as we've talked about before.
Yep. That's bad. We need to bring in a couple professionals in that world that deal with the business side of it, because
Yeah.
I do not believe our rural voters understand just how dire the situation is in rural in terms of healthcare.
Yeah, there's a huge information gap there.
Yeah.
Just got a couple more for you guys. Jacob, one more. Despite earlier claims that inflation was easing, recent data show core CPI rising back above 3%. Which everyday expense category has surged most since the prior Biden administration? A, streaming subscriptions. B, electronics and luxury goods. Or C, groceries and household essentials.
Oh, I can tell you from my own personal experience, it's fucking groceries.
Yes, it's absolutely C. Groceries
What?
and
Eggs are down? Come on, man.
I bought my kids some applesauce, and I about shit that and fucking ground beef.
ground beef is insanely
No, we have
expensive.
taken care of the affordability. Didn't you hear? We're not going to talk about the affordability.
I mean, I made white people tacos for my kids the other night, and that requires us to have 2 pounds of ground beef. 'Cause,
Yeah.
Well, my kids eat a lot. That was $17
Woo!
for 2 pounds of ground beef.
Yeah, I was at Walmart. That's how much it was.
I could have probably went to Taco Bell and got.
Cheaper beef.
Well, I could have gotten the tacos
Oh,
completely
just bought,
made
yeah, just straight
for
up.
cheaper than what it cost me to buy them at the
Yeah,
store.
that's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
Last question, Mike.
What do you got?
New USDA rural development report found that the share of rural households spending more than 30% of their income on housing has A, stayed the same since 2019, B, decreased slightly with falling interest rates, or C, increased steadily.
I'm assuming increased.
Yeah, everything's more expensive. It's now affecting over 1/3 of rural renters in terms of increases in rent. Yeah, more than 1/3 of rural renters now spend more than 30% of their overall income on housing costs, and that number keeps going up.
Wow. Wow.
I could believe that. I mean, my rent's close to a quarter of my monthly income.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
actually, it's a little over it.
Well, that leads perfectly into our next segment. Kel and I got to go to CrookedCon this last weekend. Lots of great workshops, lots of breakout sessions, so on.
Barack Obama was there.
Yeah, Barack Obama showed up.
I didn't
which
get
was
to meet
awesome.
him or see him, but
Yeah, it made
he
me
was there.
sad.
Yeah.
But one of the best talks that I think we went to included the former state party chair of Wisconsin, Ben Wickler, and as well as Anderson. What's her last name from North
Clayton.
Carolina? Anderson Clayton, the state party chair for North Carolina, right? Or South Carolina.
Youngest state party chair in
Yeah.
DNC history.
And both have had some fairly successful experience organizing rural communities because those states are technically have some big city areas, but they also have a lot of rural. And that discussion came up, like how do we organize? How do we make our tent bigger, et cetera, et cetera. And I found those particular ones fascinating in terms of what they had to say. One of the things that Barack Obama said during his speech is we got to get over the idea of litmus tests and that we have to understand the tent's big. We need the right message by the right messenger in the right place at the right time. And that gave me hope because we were going in there saying, okay, we got to make the voices of rural people heard because they're not. And I felt like after the election with Mamdani winning and so on, people were going to keep pushing harder to the left when clearly in Iowa, Mamdani's not going to win.
Right.
And so how do we lose? We felt like the tent might have shifted on us and we might be suddenly stuck outside without moving at all here in Iowa. And so we were ready to sort of advocate for that. But then Obama went and advocated for it. And then they talked about the elections. They talked about Spangler winning the same day, or Spangberger? Spangberger winning from Virginia the exact same day that Mamdani won, and showing that Democrats truly do have a big tent, but Democrats are different in different places. And that I felt like was a theme. Ben talked about that a lot. Anderson, sorry. Yeah, I talked about that a lot. But it felt like that was the workshop to workshop theme, at least that we heard over and over again, that we have a big tent and we have to own that big tent. And both sides, all the big tent has to be comfortable with Mamdani in the tent as well as Abigail Spangberger in the tent.
Well, and out here we have the thing that's a little concerning to me is just, being online and being part of these conversations and seeing what people are saying. Out here in Iowa, we have a moderate slate of candidates that we're currently working with, especially our gubernatorial candidate, Rob Sand, right? He's on record saying things like, if I didn't have to pick one of the two parties to be a viable candidate, I would probably just be an independent, right? And you see a lot of Democrats pushing back on that and saying, I can't possibly vote for Rob Sand because he's too moderate, right? And I mean, that's staying home and not casting a vote for the Dem, whether or not they're moderate or want to be independent or whatever it is, even if they were an independent and that were your two choices, isn't that still better than the other?
It's still a choice they're making.
And we live in a system that you only have two choices, really, if you want to vote for someone that has a shot at winning.
Right.
And there are some states, right, like Maine and where's Bernie from? Vermont,
yep.
where, yeah, you might be able to run an independent candidate or a third-party candidate even and potentially get a win. But those races and those contexts are so few and far between, and that's not the environment we're in right now in Iowa. So I get the protest votes and wanting to ensure the party is putting forth super left progressive candidates if that's who you are and you're super left progressive. I get that. I understand that. But I feel like this particular cycle is just too important. And I know so many people say that every year.
No, this one, yeah.
This one really is. And it really is. What if Chuck Grassley retires in the middle before he runs for re-election and there is a Republican in the gubernatorial seat? He or she, the governor, gets to appoint the replacement for Chuck Grassley. Or if he dies, right, in office. Yep. The governor gets to appoint somebody to end that term or until they can hold a special election. That's important. That's a vote in the Senate.
Right. Well, that plays into something that Anderson said, right? The chair of the North Carolina party. She said that in North Carolina, they can trace back a few years a judgeship and the winning of a judge winning their election, and they can show how the dominoes fell where we barely lost an election to a Republican judge. That Republican judge then oversaw a gerrymandering case that gave Republicans a very gerrymandered number of congressional officials. or
in North
districts
Carolina,
in North
right.
Carolina
Yeah.
that they shouldn't have had. Clearly, gerrymandering. Had it been a Democrat, they would have said that's gerrymandering. That's illegal. You can't do that. But they gave it to him anyway. That ended up being the exact difference that
In the House
in the
right now.
U.S. House
Right.
needs to have majority for Democrats. So going all the way back to this judgeship is important. Every little piece of it's important. And even then, I go back to this whole discussion around the shutdown, and we don't have any power. We don't have any power because we don't have a majority. We don't have a majority is because a lot of us are just out there complaining, but not actually getting engaged.
Right.
If you guys want to have progressive candidates, go convince Iowans that we need progressive candidates because we need their vote. Otherwise, they're not voting for progressive candidates. If you care so much about it, do the work. Go out in the rural communities, talk to those folks and say why it's important to have more progressive. Go knock on their doors. Go to events. Go do the work. But until you do that, the vast majority of Iowans are never going to vote for Imam Dani.
Right.
They're just not going to.
It just
Until
doesn't
you
fly
change
here.
the culture.
Right. It just doesn't fly here. Works great in New York. Great candidate in New York. Great fit. I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm excited to see some of the ideas tried out, right? He has a lot of different ideas that a lot of the sort of Democratic Socialist wing of the party talk about and prop up and say, this is what we need to do. But none of it has actually been implemented in practice in any significant form or fashion anywhere in the United States. So having a New York City sort of laboratory of democracy, as they say, is going to be interesting to watch, right? And I'm super pumped to watch it. And if I was in New York, I would have voted for Mamdani. But, out here, he can't win. He just can't win. Maybe a mayoral election of Iowa City or Des Moines or something, but he would not be able to win the governor's race, the Senate race, any of the 4 House races. Just wouldn't be able to.
And our needs are different. Remember that too.
Yes.
We don't need a socialist government at our city level. We just don't need that. At a place like New York, where there's so many people, it's highly dense, it's incredibly diverse, to have any kind of services that actually make sense to keep that city vibrant, you need a more socialist approach. That's just what's needed in a city like New York. It's not needed in a state like Iowa. And that people don't understand there's a difference there, and they can all be Democrat. And I think that's what Obama was saying.
That's exactly what
They
he's
can
saying.
all be Democrat in the Big Tent.
Well, and I think the other thing is that people need to keep in mind is not only is it critical to show up and vote for blue candidates to get rid of this fascism that's encroached in our state and federal governments. I'm going to call it what it is.
Right, it is.
But I think that it's also really important to get engaged on the other side with our existing representation of, our friend Jess Piper likes to harass her local congressman with letters on a weekly basis.
Yep.
When they do randomly decide to show up and do a town hall or a public appearance, you need to show up and let them know what you think.
And boy, did they yesterday.
Because those people live in an echo chamber any other time.
Right.
Yeah.
Did either of you go to the town hall yesterday in Keosauqua?
I did. Yeah,
You
I
did?
was there. Yep.
What was your experience?
It was very odd to me. Well, okay, so I'll describe the scene kind of driving up, right? So I'm pulling in, and right off the bat, there's a protest out front. There are several cameras there, and I realized quickly that the family of someone who was picked up and deported by ICE was hosting a press conference outside of Miller Meeks Town Hall. And that's what was going on outside. There were protesters there with signs, TV crew, whole 9 yards, protesting outside. Right?
Okay,
So
before you go any
Kelvin,
farther,
interrupt you.
Yep, I know we're both going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
So this is in a town of 900 people.
Yep.
Yes.
In a county of less than 7,000 people, 10 miles from the Missouri border.
Yeah.
in the hardest to get to county from any major city in her entire district.
First district.
If you're not familiar with Iowa 1, dear listener, I encourage you to pull up a map of Iowa House District 1 and look where Keosauqua is in Van Buren County, and then look at the vote totals from the last election. This is the reddest part of the district, the farthest away from all of the urban centers in the district.
It's
At
not on
2
any
o'clock
major highways.
on a Monday.
So-
2 o'clock on a Monday.
And she announced this like 24 hours before. She announced it on Sunday afternoon and then had it Monday afternoon, right? So you can see the game she's trying to play there, right? So anyway, I pull in there and I see the protest going on. I see the signs and get out, and I go into the thing, and right off the bat there's a sign that says no videotaping allowed, right? And everyone's kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever you say. And they're checking bags and all that stuff, all the security measures and whatnot. And then I get inside and I understand why I'll preface this by saying I understand why they did this part, but from the constituent point of view, this is really frustrating, right? So what they did was, instead of in a typical town hall fashion where the voter can stand up and talk into a mic and ask a direct question and speak and interact with their elected official, they put a firewall in there. If you wanted to ask a question, you had to write it in advance, right? So a lot of people will ask follow-up questions from someone else's question during a town hall so you can have further debate about a subject and all that, but they wouldn't allow that. You had to write it down in advance. And I have some of them because they took the bowl away and wouldn't let me put some of mine in. But part of it was they're trying to.
Of course, you had more than one.
So, well, I sat down to start writing questions, and I really quickly realized like they were trying to make this difficult, right? So you had to put your name, your address, your phone number, your email. They asked you another question that you had to read and respond to, and then there's a box to write your question, right? So they're trying to slow you down. So I sat down. I'm like, you're not going to slow me down. I wrote like 10 of them. My hand still kind of hurts. But I wrote maybe 6 or 7 of them, got them in the bowl, and one of the campaign staffers came by, got the bowl, and took it up, emptied the bowl into the bigger bowl. There were a couple bowls. And emptied the bigger bowl up on the stage and came back. And he's like, yeah, you can finish up and we'll put him up there. And I'm finishing up. But then he came and got the bowl and wouldn't let me finish. And I said, I still got 3 more. And he just walked away. So that happened. And then they started at 10 minutes late, maybe 15 minutes late. It was scheduled to start at 2. She walked out at 2:10, 2:15.
Was she just drawing things from the bowl?
No. They had a moderator on stage from a local media outlet, and that moderator was drawing from the bowl, reading
the worst job on the planet.
Oh,
I would
man.
think.
Reading the comment and who it was from. It was the moderator would say, "Oh, this is Ben from Burlington asks," and then they would read the question.
Okay.
The first question occurs. Someone's already screaming and shouting and getting dragged out. I could see it from my angle, but they kind of throw him into this door and he's down on the ground. And it seemed pretty jarring to me that was the way you were escorting people out of the event, even if they are disruptive. But nonetheless.
Wait, they had like goons there? Was it police?
So,
or what
no.
was it?
So yes, it was police doing that piece, but it was campaign staffers. I was watching the whole thing because I know what Marionette Miller Meeks looks like. I don't need to stare at her. I'm turned to the back and I'm watching all the other stuff happen because to me, that was the more interesting part of the event. And they had staffers basically circling the rooms, trying to find people who were being disruptive or saying things or whatever. Yeah. And then going around and then they'd talk to them and then ask the police officer to come and take him away. And that was just, by the time the event was over, maybe a third or more.
Holy crap.
Yeah, there were 150 people or so there. And by the time we were done, fewer than 100 were left in the room. I mean, some of them got up and just walked out when she started lying and doing all her crap. But they were physically removing people from the event constantly throughout the entire thing. Gosh. They even had a Marionette Miller Meeks staffer at the front of the room shushing people, telling people to shut up. Anyway, so while this is all going on, the questions really were basically 5 different topics: immigration, affordability, Medicaid cuts, Epstein files was another big one, sure. And then shutdown related things, and then just variations on those topics. But while all this is going on, I would say the crowd allowed Miller Meeks to speak. Question was read. Miller Meeks was allowed, everyone was quiet and allowed her to start talking. But anytime she started veering into either outright lies or distorting things in a way, because she spent a lot of time blaming Biden for everything.
Good God, still.
That was what I noticed watching the video I saw.
Constantly.
Anytime she'd mention that, the crowd would erupt.
Erupt, right? So when she was flat out lying or trying to push blame off on Biden, the crowd went nuts and was just absolutely not having it. And then, or in some cases, especially around healthcare, or if she was clearly dodging the question, several people wanted to know, what is the Republican plan? You spent a lot of time talking about the mess that is ACA and all this is because of Biden and the Democrats and whatnot. What's your plan? She could not answer that question because they don't have a plan. That's the answer to the question. So then people would go,
I thought it was coming in like 3 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Concepts of
That
it.
was
Concepts.
6 years ago at this point.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's more like scratched on a bar napkin with crayon.
Right. During the campaign in 2016. Yeah.
So, and that was the thrust of it. And then she ended early, ended 15 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. So she started it late, ended it early. And as she was getting up to walk out, the crowd just let her have it. Just merciless booing. Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, there's this Iowans like to be nice, and we don't really do a lot for people that are rude. But at the same time, so many Iowans are so fed up with the spin. They want real answers. They want real facts. And I'm proud of them for holding her accountable. She can't do that shit.
And people were respectful and allowed her to talk and start. But as soon as she went down the spin, went into the lies, went into the nonsense, they weren't having it.
They understood the assignment.
Yeah.
And then they got kicked out.
And then they got kicked out.
Some of them did.
Half of the room. Yeah. Some people were walking out on their own.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because they were pissed that the Dems were there yelling.
No, maybe.
But I don't know. I also don't know if it was just because she was lying through her teeth and I'm just watching a campaign ad. What am I doing here?
So if hell froze over on
Sunday
while we were driving, she announced it.
Yeah.
She announced it.
Well,
That's when it
if hell
snowed.
froze over to get her to do this time, I wonder what it's going to take to get her to do it again.
Yeah, I figured she was doing it either to avoid any of that by doing it where she was at, but now I'm sure she'll spin it as, oh, look how, non-civil these folks are.
Well,
Like that,
I
right?
did see this morning, wishing a wonderful Veterans Day to the veterans out there. We're recording on Veterans Day, but they had a Veterans Day breakfast at Hy-Vee in Fairfield, and she was making the rounds there.
Right.
So she was trying to recover that image a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she's shaking hands and everyone's being so pleasant and smiley to her.
Of course. Yeah, it's at some point people are just done with the bullshit, and that's clearly where we're at. Is we're done with the bullshit. Where were people from, Kellen? I'm just curious. Were they just a bunch of Iowa City folks just come down?
There were Iowa City folks there, but the moderator was reading questions from people all over the district. People
Really?
from Tumwa, from Burlington. There's a handful of people there from Mount Pleasant. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Davenport, Quad Cities.
Because she hasn't done town halls anywhere else.
Right, everyone, even though she played her little game with 24 hours and 2:00 on a Monday when people work, a good number of people showed up. I think the county parties really rallied together to figure out how to get people there.
Don't you think that probably the main reason she did that was somebody in her team was saying, look, you're getting beat up bad because you're hiding in the basement.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
So you're going to have to go do
Or doing, what was it, an online phone call one where they screened everybody?
Yeah, with a guy that's from North Carolina or Florida. The guy who was
in the town hall.
Yeah, whatever. It was stupid. And it was all filtered questions and whatnot. But there were, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 Republicans in the front. And one guy in particular with a MAGA hat on, after she said anything, would get up and clap and be like, good job. Did you see that guy on the feed? He was pretty ridiculous. But in front, we're up around there. There were, I don't know, 10 to 20. I didn't really count because it's hard to tell. No one wears the color on their shirt. But from my estimation, just based on the cheering and the clapping at different points, there were about 10 to 20, maybe 20 at most, Republicans in the room. But I looked at who it was, and some of them were sitting Iowa House members. Jeff Shipley was there. So I'm wondering, like, how many of those 10 or 20 were
Actually, like constituents who are concerned. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. A lot of this happened, and a lot of people were motivated to go from all over the district because of Marion, call her 3M, Marionette Miller Meeks. That's her nickname around here. 3M's viral video that went around, what was it, about 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago?
It was in September. Sometime, yeah.
Basically saying at a Republican event, it wasn't a town hall. She said, they all want me to do town halls, but I'll wait till hell freezes over, right?
No, she said, I don't have to do town halls just for you to yell at me.
Yeah, well, that probably was the next part. Right? I was going to get at is just for people to boo me all the time. And I guess the answer to me, in which I felt like they understood the assignment from what you're saying, is like, 3M, they won't boo you if you don't fucking lie.
Maybe your policies are shit.
Yeah.
Couldn't help herself.
Do your fucking job, tell the truth. Maybe they won't boo you. And that's how it works.
She had canned responses for everything. And so she had a notepad in front of her and was reading her responses. And when she starts going off about how Biden and all of his policies and everything he did is the reason things are bad now. People just are fed up with this bullshit. Like, you're sitting up there just reading pre-written scripts to respond here. You're not engaging with your voters. You're not having
some aide in D.C. that gave her the notes. That's not a town hall meeting. That's you and your talking points that are written by an aide in D.C.
Well, and if you don't believe that, go back and look at Randy Feenstra, his social media, Ashley Henson, and hers.
Is it all the same shit?
It is. It
They're
is. It's all
parroting the same shit.
Especially during the shutdown. I mean, it was on day 31 of the Democratic shutdown. It's this. And, of course, it's, spin or whatever the local headline is that day. But, I mean, they were all almost worded exactly. I mean, it was literally almost word for word. You could tell it came from the RNC.
I mean, well, here's how I look at this whole damn thing. A representative is supposed to represent people, and people can disagree on the approach. So people here in District 1 of the 1st Congressional District, Iowa 1, you have Republicans and you have Democrats, and we all sort of disagree on how to approach shit.
Mm-hmm.
But whoever's elected is supposed to represent those people. Marionette, Miller, Meeks, and most of those candidates that are running for office, they made it very clear this week. They don't represent anybody. They represent a group in D.C. with their talking points and their priorities and agendas, and they could give a shit less about Republicans in their district.
She was literally just reading a script of talking points prepped to her by people in DC. That's what she was doing.
That's what it is. And if that wasn't more blatantly obvious and you don't realize that your representative does not represent you, you are not paying attention anymore.
She was not engaging with voters. She was not having a conversation with anybody. She was using it as an opportunity to just read more propaganda bullshit.
And check the box.
And that's what she wanted. She wanted to check that box.
They can't blame me for not having town halls.
Yep.
Jesus. That's where we're at, everybody. November what? 10th? Today? What is the date?
11th.
11th. November 11th. Yeah, it's Veterans Day. Recording on the 11th.
Yeah.
2025. Mark your calendars. Shit's about to get a hell of a lot better.
Mm-hmm. There's a smell in here, Mike. It smells like newfound hope and the promise of change.
Now, they're spraying the fields outside, so I'm not sure it's newfound hope.
That's what that is hog shit.
The smell of hope. That's awesome. Well, hey, this has been an episode of 3 Rural White Guys. Good to have you guys here. Chris Hausman is our musician that has our theme song. He'll take us out.
National math scores are slipping, but we're better than ever at division. No, something about this isn't adding up. Every day is a new battle, trying to keep our ass in the saddle. Now they're rounding us up like cattle in a truck. They're high up on that horse, we're down here fighting wars. They give to the rich, take from the poor. Makes you wonder what we're working for. They've got us all turned around. Time to realize the real divide ain't left and right, it's up and down. We're out here pinching pennies, they can wipe their ass with the 20. Tell me what's it like to have plenty